good morning, everyone, both the crowd here as well as people who are joining us either on AFN or through the live stream. Welcome to the U.S. Army Garrison Wiesbaden Town Hall on behalf of the Senior Responsible Officer, Major General Rafferty, myself, and the entire hard-working Garrison team. We just want to say thank you for attending. This is, again, is your forum, an opportunity to learn about what's going on around the Garrison and to ask questions. And if you're talking to the crowd, I know there's a few questions out there. So hopefully we can get you connected to the right answers, or the answers you're looking for. It has been a busy time and a season of change. I think we'll recognize that. And I'm glad to see everybody back safely from the holiday season. Moving forward, we're looking at the spring, and we've looked at this town hall as really our spring preparedness town hall. Getting people ready for this season, but also we know as we transition, we're heading back into another heavy PCS cycle. I think for those who've now been here at U.S. Army Garrison Wiesbaden for a while, you probably recognize that even though we have spikes in the PCS cycle, summertime, slightly much smaller one in the winter, it's really a 365-day PCS cycle now. So the opportunity to get in front of people and share information, that's what we're committed to do here at the Garrison, and we appreciate you being part of that. Before I turn this over to General Rafferty, I did want to let you know what we were going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking a little bit about force protection, some updates, as well as some updates on the access control points and vehicle registration at the Garrison level. We have a conversation from the Wiesbaden Army Health Clinic. They're going to be talking about some changes and initiatives to support the community. The My Army Post app, for those who aren't tracking, we got a new app that actually went live today. That is an opportunity to get updates and stay connected to the Garrison, as well as the units on the Garrison. We're going to have Ms. Ashley Dixon from the Spouses Club come up and talk about scholarship programs. Spouses Club is a tremendous partner of the community and gives a lot back. And then we're going to start moving into our calendar of upcoming events. And we're going to try to walk through early April when we expect to have our next town hall at the end. And we're going to close out by talking briefly about our preparations for the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army this summer, and where we are in the planning process and what you can expect. And you'll be hearing a lot more about that in the future. But without further ado, I'd actually like to turn this over to Major General Rafferty, Senior Responsible Officer for U.S. Army Garrison.
Thanks, Troy. Appreciate the big turnout here, right? It says a lot about our community. Those of us who have been listening to our new commander here know that for all of us in U.S. Army Europe, we're focused on warfighting and people. How as a community of, it's this assembled group of leaders from the community. How do we best make sure that our units, our soldiers, are ready to fight? It's by taking care of our people, right? And that's what we're assembled here to do, is to make sure that as a team we're giving way together, that we're making sure that we provide back to our families and civilians and teammates all the information that will help them be more prepared and take care of themselves and each other, right? So people and warfighting, those are our priorities, and that's how we as a team here contribute to that. The second thing I'll say is that our boss, like all of us, are really concerned and really committed to force protection. And so I really want to commend the Garrison team, their leadership, and then all of you who either participated in this as getting a little bit of extra inspection, or witnessed or endured some inconvenience 2 weeks ago, I guess, during the Force Protection Charlie exercise. It was really successful, right? Because our team approached it in a way that we do best, right? Which is training. So they divided these things down into training objectives, and each one of the tasks they trained and achieved the right standard, like we do for everything else. So we should all feel really confident that our big team here can rise to the occasion and respond to a security crisis if we need to. That's really important to all of us, especially to our senior leadership. So we should feel good about that as a team and build on it, right? So I'm again really glad that everybody's here because the best practice for all of us in this business is to communicate, and this is a great venue for that. So thanks to the team that's broadcasting it. I know we had to jump through some hoops to make sure that was arranged for today. And so hopefully we've got some participants on distant stations out there. but most importantly, the people who make time to get here today. Thanks. Troy, over to you guys. So maybe we can wrap it up.
Roger that, sir.
All right, and I did just want to go back to what General Rafferty was saying, and a thank you to the community. As you know, we recently participated in the force protection exercise. That's not possible without the support of the units. That's where most of the manpower comes from. We realize it also puts additional stress on the community throughout, and we do appreciate people's understanding, not only here but in the city of Wiesbaden. In fact, this is our first year where we issued a joint release with the city of Wiesbaden as part of the exercise, so we get that practice, because again, we want to reassure people inside the gate, outside the gate, that this is done for the protection of all. And the more we get a chance to work with them, the better. Every unit on the Garrison Wiesbaden participated, as well as all of our supporters. So the DIA, APs, the commissary, everybody was a part of that, and we want to say thank you. One area we did note for improvement, and we're going to continue to get the word out. One of the main ways that we put out messaging in the event of alert, you'll see it even when we have a demonstration in the area, if we have inclement weather, we use the alerts channel. Now, the alerts goes across your computer and your phone, but you have to make sure that you're up to date on it. And what we found during the exercise, a lot of the names we had in there, they had PCS a few years ago, and I know that we have 8,000 active alert names. Now, this is a community of 23,000 people. So, as you employ, if you get a chance, we've got the website here. We'll put it out on our social media as well. Take the time, go into alerts, and make sure your contact information is updated, because that is our fastest and best way to reach you at the garrison if we think there's something that could impact you or your family. With that, I'll go ahead and move forward. All right, and now I'm going to turn this over to our Director of Emergency Services, Mr. Cody Ferguson.
Good morning, everyone. Cody Ferguson, I'm the Director of Emergency Services. As you can see, we're going to talk to vehicle registration and some updates we're going to do to the ACP. I'm sure they'll be among some of the hot topics for the garrison and community for a little bit, but they are there to improve life. So as you can see from the slide, 55% of customers wait till 15 days out to do it. I urge you to try to get that done sooner, because one of the problems out there is vehicle inspection, because it has to be done most times before re-registration. Sometimes you're not aware that there might be a problem with your vehicle. If it doesn't make it through the vehicle inspection, then that complicates your re-registration. That's good for 30 days once you get your vehicle inspection done. During the surge, as the Colonel talked about, we want to get ahead of the surge. So as you can see out there, they send it out 75 days in advance. They have committed to trying to get it out there 90 days ahead of time, so that you guys are aware that it's due. You cannot re-register any earlier than 75 days out. I encourage you to take advantage of that time frame and go ahead and do that. Allows more time to plan in your planning phases to get you ready for the surge that will come. I got 5 people in there. They try to help everybody out as quickly as possible. They always trying to improve the program. They're there for you. They're part of you. They're dependents. They live the same life you guys do, so they want to do the best they can to support you. Any questions on vehicle registrations?
Just an additional comment for some of the command teams that weren't present at the last CR2C where this topic was raised. Just to reiterate some of the techniques that were highlighted during that session about how to make sure that leaders know when their soldiers' registrations are up for renewal, right? So, of course, POV inspections before 4-day weekends, those sorts of things as a TTP is a great way, and as commanders, you can have that as an inspection checklist that, you get a list back of all the soldiers whose vehicles were inspected and when their registrations are due, right? And you can make sure that you stress to your command teams you get that done as early as possible, right? Because that buys you and your unit time during the summer, right? Fewer soldiers that are tied up doing vehicle registration means more training and a higher level of readiness, right? So So that's something that we can do for our community, but it just takes leadership. But that's what we do best, right? So I'm confident that we'll put a dent in the backlog or so.
Right. Currently, Wiesbaden doesn't have a backlog. We're doing pretty good on staying on top. I attribute that to the community showing up on time and providing enough reaction time to get through that. So we're doing better than some of our other communities, which I appreciate that participation from you guys. Close enough, sorry. I'll get close enough. Next slide. So let me orientate everybody to this. Main gate's over here. That is our traffic circle just after the main gate. And these are the final denial barriers. Many of you may not even realize that they exist there, but they are there. They are going to go through some renovation processes, not just minor renovation. They are actually going to pull them out of the ground, and we're going to get some new ones. So that will be an extensive process. So what's going to happen is the two outside barriers, one on the outside outbound lane is going to go away for a while, and the inbound lane is going to go away for a while.
You want to say something? Oh, I can cut it, don't you worry.
So what we are going to do is continue to maintain the south gate for exit in the afternoon. What we cannot do, because it creates a vulnerability on our security, is have inbound in the south gate. We just don't have the ability to protect the garrison with inbound traffic during that time frame. We're going to try to minimize the time that they're there. We're looking at the beginning of the March time frame and completion in June to do both lanes. They're going to start, like I said, with the outbound lanes, and then we'll transition to the inbound, the two inbound lanes. Can you get to the next slide, please? So these are the traffic flows. So when they transition from the outbound ones or the outside lanes, they will go into the two inner lanes. Again, these will be published onto the Facebook, so you guys will have access to them for later review. They will be well marked when we do this, so it'll be very clear. Both times you'll have access to get to the south gate from this area. You can still go around through the traffic circle to get to the south gate when you're departing. These are necessary improvements. They're not something we can kick the can down the road. This has happened throughout Europe. We're not the only garrison that's getting this process done to our garrison. Any questions on that?
Hey Cody, when was that scheduled to start again?
In March, the beginning of March.
Right, so we're looking about the time frame of around March 7th or so. We'll be sending out more information on that. We do understand it's going to really impact traffic coming onto and off of the base. And right now we know we have the high time that really starts around 07:30 here, tapers off about 08:30, and then in the afternoon I think we've all experienced the 16:30 departure time. So I do recommend to the units where there is some flexibility with your schedules, within the teams to see if you can adjust some of those schedules. We understand that mission drives everything, and we'll do what we can at the garrison to keep the traffic flowing.
Questions?
Yeah, Troy, we may want to assemble a little working group on that, see what units have more flexibility in work schedules. Maybe bring that up to a certain echelon, could be directed, because it'll just be really disruptive to everybody. Ma'am, I think you have a question.
Will the school buses be impacted by that, since that's about the same time of pickup and drop off, and so will pickup time be earlier, drop off time be later for those parents that need to have that information?
Roger, we'll work with OD on that for the actual parent pickup and drop off, particularly with our timer board. For the buses, we're working plans right now so that we can, as part of some of the work we do during force protection, making sure that they have easy travel coming through. And we also stay in contact with the OD Transportation Office, so we know where those buses are and safety dates.
Okay, thanks so much, Cody. Next up, we have the health clinic to present a variety of topics.
Hey, good morning. Come on, Plus Health Clinic Commander. I'm assuming I got to use the mic for folks out there, so my voice carries. A couple things I want to talk to folks about, so want to go ahead and I'll be honest, I just put the big bullseye on me because I know there's a lot of frustrations, but hopefully those are improving since we've been since we've started some of our changes. The first thing I want to talk about is, just to give you an idea, we've had 336% increase in our throughput and encounters from 2019 to 2024, and we've had no increase in staff. All right? We are doing our best every day to get after everybody's concerns and to address things, and so we've made some changes recently that hopefully will address some of those. The first one I want to talk about is appointments. We've made some changes to how we do appointments. We're relying heavily on the MHS Genesis patient portal. Right? There's been direction from up high within the DHA echelons to say we need to go to roughly 30% virtual or telehealth type encounters. And so my goal is really for you never to come into the clinic if you don't have to, right? If we don't have to put hands on and actually do a physical exam, we want to make it easier for you and not necessarily bring you into the clinic. So we want to try to do as much as we can by leveraging technology and leaning forward and getting things after your health care without necessarily bringing you into the clinic. We understand that there's moms out there, there's kids, we have limited parking, and so that's always a nightmare. And so if we can reduce the amount of throughput within the health center, that ultimately helps everybody. And so we've changed how that's done. What you should start seeing now when you get on the NHS Genesis portal, if you don't know how to get on, it's imperative that you get on. We are going to this. This is going to be our primary means of communicating. There is on the Wiesbaden Health Clinic website, or Facebook page, there is a site up there, a page that tells you how to get on and how to get that access. I know some of the biggest frustration folks have is with the two-factor authentication, especially if they came from the States, that sort of thing. There is a number on that. Please call that number. That'll save you gray hairs in the future. Okay. Don't try to go through the website because trying to put a German number in is almost impossible. But if you talk to a human being, which is what we like to do in medicine, right? If you talk to a human being, the number's there. Call them, stateside time, East Coast time. They can get those German numbers put in for you, update that information, and you can get that DSO on. You can access all your records, lab results, X-ray results, all those things right from the patient portal. Okay. You can also communicate with your healthcare team that way. So 5 days out, roughly, from your appointment, you'll get a message through that portal that says, hey, can you fill out this information? If you'll remember when you come to the clinic, before you had all this documentation that had to be done, and you spent 15 minutes filling out admin stuff, we're trying to get that done well in advance, right? Because your time with your provider is the most important time. That's for you and your doc to spend time together. So we want to get the admin stuff out of the way. So that 5 days prior message you get through the portal is to get after that. Please put as much information in there as possible. Otherwise, we still have to do admin time at your appointment. 3 days out, you get a phone call, all right, from one of our staff members, and that's to go through that questionnaire, to ask those questions, to get clarity, so that when you come in for your appointment, it's a set of vital signs, it's any changes since we last spoke, no, time to see your provider. And you should have roughly 30 minutes, all right? We've made appointments now 30 minutes, so you can get after multiple problems in those encounters. All right, so we are trying to make this patient-focused. It's all about you and you having that time. So that's the first part that I'll talk about is appointments. Walk-in availability for the green suiters. We've now started what's called the CAC2. This is the Combined Acute Care Clinic. This is to get after acute appointments in the morning. Starts at 7:30, runs till about 10. And that is to alleviate some of the acute appointment needs for our beneficiaries, our dependents, and those sort of things during the day. So that so far has had great returns. We've seen about 200 people use that clinic. Again, it's for uniformed personnel, but that frees it up for our beneficiaries, all right, for our dependents too. Off-post health resources, all right, plug out to our host nation community here. The host nation facilities are fabulous. I still hear a lot of folks saying, oh, I want to go to Launchstool. Launchstool's the only place I want to go. And I love Launchstool and I love what they do. They have some phenomenal providers and they're good. But it's a drive, right? And that increases your risk. And we all know that driving on these roads sometimes can be very difficult and very dangerous. And so we have good providers in the network here. And I would ask you to give them an opportunity. While the language might be a little bit of a barrier, if you have the MyCare Overseas app, all right, that takes care of that language barrier because there is a 24/7 translation service right there that you can pull up and talk to folks. So please use that Mike Care Overseas app. Please use the host nation facilities. They're doing a great job. Talking about other off-post health resources. So we all know that behavioral health is a challenge, getting access to behavioral health, especially for our dependent population. We recently opened our behavioral health clinic thanks to a very, very good behavioral health chief. 10% of our encounters now go to dependents. That's allowed us to access 2 additional providers for virtual behavioral health appointments. Right? Those you used to have to come into the clinic, into the health center, into the behavioral health clinic, to sit in front of a TV screen and communicate virtually with someone. We've got approval now to extend that to all of our housing areas, 4 housing areas. Right? So you can actually set up virtual behavioral health from your home computer with a behavioral health provider. To access it, you've got to contact the clinic. They'll screen you, make sure it's appropriate, because anyone that's high risk, we want to see those folks in person. But if you're not high risk and you just need a mental tune-up, right, that is available. And now it's actually on the call center, and that'll be my last bullet moving forward. But with the call center that we have going now, we've got 2 dedicated call center employees that are addressing it, so that hopefully has reduced your wait time. We've updated as of last night the call tree, so the options are there. So you can now there is a behavioral health clinic option, and so you can actually select that. It'll take you straight to the behavioral health clinic, so you can call and hopefully schedule those appointments. Immunizations, I know there's some talk recently and some concern about immunizations and availability. We've actually gone ahead and opened up 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, or walk-ins now for immunizations, especially for our active duty personnel where it's a readiness requirement. Come on in and get it done. But it's open to dependents and family members too, right? And hopefully that makes it easier rather than having to make an appointment you can walk in, but do understand it is space available basis. Next slide, please. Let's talk about the pharmacy. All right, there's going to be big changes coming up. You might have seen some of the construction behind the chapel. We are trying to retrofit and do a makeover on our pharmacy to make it more user-friendly. Between now and June, they're going to be building a temporary pharmacy back behind the clay chapel. We hopefully will have about 8 parking spots or so there that'll be assigned for the pharmacy. Still working with Garrison on that, but I think that's likely to go through. If not, it's my fault that I said it out in this forum. All right. But come July, we will transition the pharmacy over to that temporary facility, and all the pharmacy meds and everything will be handled there. That will be ongoing. The construction within the health center will be ongoing until March of next year, where hopefully April, we will be able to move into the new pharmacy. Last but not least, we want to know how we're doing, good or bad. All right. And please, I ask, put in those comments. If you want to come in and see me, my door is always open. All right, I welcome anybody and everybody. If I am available, I will sit down and talk to you about your concerns. If you don't want to do that, ICE comments are a great way to go. I ask you to do me one favor. Give us as much detail as possible. If you want, don't be anonymous. All right, that's even better, because then we can reach out and get the whole story and help resolve the concerns that you might have. So please use that forum and reach out. Let us know how we're doing. Any questions for us?
Thank you so much for those updates. Thank you so much for those updates. Up next, we just want to talk a little bit more about the new My Own Post app. Like the Garrison Commander mentioned, we did go live here at Wiesbaden this morning. As you follow and download this app, you'll start to notice some really neat features, including push notifications, which is something that an Army installation app hasn't ever had before. So, as an example, we sent out a reminder about this town hall this morning. If you're already using the app, some of you may have already gotten one. We'll start to use this as well as another tool, or communication tool, in our larger toolkit of ways to communicate with the community, including office closures and impacts to different services you all interact with on a daily basis. Some of the features that you'll notice that are really useful inside that app right away is that it has an extensive search feature and phone directory where you can also bookmark specific resources. So when those resources are updated, say an hour change or a different location for a temporary period of time, different SMEs and experts with our community partners will be updating those resources. So you follow the health clinic, when there's a change, you'll be updated that that change has happened. Another feature that I'd like to spotlight is the newcomers checklist options. There's a full section just for newcomers and a checklist of resources that will point you to different areas and resources and PDFs of resources that are very specific to this community. So please take a look at that. We'll always take feedback, and that's the last point I wanted to bring up, is that this application also allows you to give direct feedback on any issues or typos or wrong information within that app. So if you see something, there's a button down at the bottom where it says provide feedback, and that will come directly to the Public Affairs Office, and we can get after that as soon as possible. Penny, any questions? Yes?
Is this a replacement for my digital Garrison?
Yes, great question, thank you. The Digital Garrison app will be sunset as this is rolled out across all Army installations. So it will stay active because not all Army installations have come live yet, but as soon as that is fully sent out across the Army enterprise, that Digital Garrison app will sunset. All right, next up.
Thank you. My name is Ashley. I'm with the Wiesbaden Community Spouses Club. And who we are a 501c3 private organization here, and we operate the thrift shop. I'm not here to talk about the thrift shop exactly, but to thank you for all your donations, shopping at our shop, and volunteering your time. Because of that, we're able to give back to our community through our grants, community outreach, and scholarships. So today I'm talking about our annual scholarship that is open for our high school seniors and continuing education adults, dependents that are interested in continuing ed. So this scholarship the deadline is coming up next Friday, the 21st. The application is online through our website. It's an online application. Within that application, you do need to request a letter of recommendation. There is an essay question, and you need to request an official transcript that's sent to us. So don't delay in submitting your application early, starting on the questions. But it's a huge thing we give back to our community. Last year, we gave $135,000 in scholarships, and so we would love to continue to do as much as we can through our scholarship program. Also remember that if you have dependents that are on your orders, that they are back stateside, so your college freshmen, sophomores, juniors, they can apply for our continuing education scholarship as long as they're on your orders as a dependent here. So spouses, high school seniors, please spread the word to your neighbors if you've ever heard anybody interested in continuing their education. We would love to give them the opportunity to apply for our scholarship. Yes?
Would a continuing education adult include those going for a master's degree?
Yes, any higher education. Unfortunately, certificates are something that's in question right now. We haven't figured out how we can necessarily give that money directly to some certificate programs, so that's in the works. So if you're just going to get a certificate of something, not through accredited university, I would assume. So if it's an accredited university, we should be able to give you the certificate, but if it's a different, email us. We can definitely look at where those certificates stem from to know if that's something we can award this year. Because we do understand more people are looking at certificates versus a complete master's program, PhD program, things like that. So we do want to be able to support in that way. So if you do have questions of your course load, and you don't have to be already enrolled, you don't have to already be accepted to a university. The scholarship will be awarded in May. We'll have a scholarship ceremony at the high school for those that are awarded, and you have until February of next year to use the funds that you were awarded. So even if you're thinking you don't want to go to school in the fall, but spring of 2026, please still apply this year because you can use that money in the future. Any other questions?
Hi, good noon, right on noon. I was going to say good morning, but it's noon. I'm Jan Mert. I'm the Director of Army Community Service, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about family advocacy, the ACS side of FAP, which is prevention and education. We do a lot of fun things, trying to prevent things and educate the public. And we got some really cool stuff here. But one statistic I want you to be aware of that's not such a good statistic is that 1 in 3 teens will experience domestic violence by the time they're 18. So that's something to really think about. We're getting in early, we're getting into middle school. As a matter of fact, today, this afternoon, we're talking about respect and relationships and healthy relationships and hopefully that prevention. We're also, February, obviously, the month of love. So we kind of have a few things themed around that to include, we've got Love and Money, which is our monthly couples communication class. The theme is Love and Money this month because we know money can bring issues when it comes to relationships. So we're going to talk about that and how you can work through that and keep relationships healthy while having those discussions. We also have a really unique class that we're doing. This is self-esteem and self-love. And what this is about is building self-confidence. We're starting with Zumba. So you build some self-confidence, you feel good about yourself. And then as we work through that process, when we go through the cool down, we're doing that through self-affirmations. So it's kind of unique. It's going to be something really neat. It is open to all spouses in the community, so please come on by. We also have our love languages of teens. And we're not talking about romantic love because this is dealing with parents, but it's just talking about relationships and how to build and improve relationships over time, healthy relationships between family members, parents, teens, etc. Next slide, please. And couples communication, as I mentioned, we have the Love and Money this month, but every month we have something different. For example, in December we had holiday stress. We've done couples vision boards together, so it's always something different. So please stick with ACS, check us out. We've got something unique, and again, prevention and education. And then, of course, Army Emergency Relief. That is coming up. I would like to introduce Dr. Barry Henry in the back. He has on the red tie. He is our new Army Emergency Relief Specialist. He literally started on Monday. He's already hitting the ground because last year we raised $105,000 in AER. And so we're looking to beat that this year. And that's a lot of pressure on him, but I know he's going to do it. It starts the 1st of March, it goes till the 14th of June, and we have the kickoff on the 7th of March. So please keep that in mind. We come out to units, get representatives, and the community as a whole. Come join us for the kickoff on the 7th. It's going to be at the Stronger Together Cafe over lunch. And 2 other things, just real quick. We have 2 scholarships that are open through AER. One is for spouses and the other is for children. So please be aware of those and stop by ACS. We'd love to see you over there. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. How's everyone today? You guys are ready, right? Okay, my name is Maria Diaz, and I'm with Family in MWR. And we are just going to highlight 2 of many programs we have upcoming. The Spring Bazaar. How many of you are new to this area and haven't heard of our bazaars yet? Sir, you just started Monday, right? Well, you wouldn't know. All right, so we do our Spring Bazaar, and then we also do a Fall Bazaar. Our Spring Bazaars will be bringing over 48 vendors. They're going to be right downstairs for your convenience, and they're from all over Europe. And this is tax-free shopping, and it's an opportunity to go out and get those carpets, those antiques, wine, cheese, jewelry, you name it, you'll be able to find it. So if you don't have a lot of time this year to travel, although we do encourage you to travel, come here to the Wiesbaden Fitness Center, March 14th through the 16th, and we'll be downstairs for you on a Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday. And then also our Kinderfest, and that's moving into April, the month of our military child, where we like to celebrate our youth. And we're going to do a Kinderfest at ACS, and it's going to be a wonderful event for you to come out. We're going to have games and prizes, Easter egg hunts, there's going to be music, and cake. Who doesn't love cake, right? All right, and so our next slide. We have some fun community events coming up for you. It's our run. So, Sarmija, you're very big on physical fitness, right? Yeah, just a little bit. Yes. And so on May 3rd is our next run, and that's going to be the Andrews Federal Credit Union Freedom Run. And that's kind of a 3 runs in one, where we have like a little half-mile run for our little boys and girls. Or maybe some of us that can't hang with a 5K, but we have a 5K walk run, and then also it's a 10-mile run. You have to register for the 10-mile run, but you don't have to register for the half-mile or the 5K fun run. And then moving into our Army birthday, of course, you're going to do a 5K fun run. We will give you the details on which date we're going to have for that one. And then, of course, moving into the fall, there's going to be some 5K fun runs. We have our zombie run, we have our turkey trot, and then, of course, we have our jingle jog. And what's great about those is those are free community fun runs. We just encourage you to come out. Sometimes if it's themed, we want you to dress up. And so, yeah, if anybody have any questions?
Are all those open, are the runs open to kids?
The runs are open to the kids, yes, absolutely. All right, then I will be followed by Brady.
All right, thanks so much, Maria. So Maria and I are going to tag team a few of these websites for a few calendar events we want to spotlight in the next few months, especially for our radio audience. I'll spell some of these out. So the next AFN spotlight with our Garrison Commander and General Rafferty will be next Friday on 103.7 FM, AFN radio. We have an upcoming DPW roundtable in the Crestview area, and that's slated for 26th February. We'll also put this information out on social media channels to follow up and make sure that you can find this information online on the Garrison website. Again, in March, we have another AFN radio spotlight with the GC and SRO, and that will be on March 14th. Further, in March, we have another DPW roundtable centered on Auckland area, and that's on 26th March. And then coming full circle, we'll have another town hall. The next one will be in April 10th. And more information will, of course, be followed through.
All right, and so we just want to highlight, we said we have a lot of events coming up. We highlighted two of our big ones for March and April. But if you take a look, and these are kind of ACS central, but there's so many wonderful programs that ACS offers. And the one that we really want to highlight for you is the mini job fair, and that takes place on the 24th. And that's at ACS. And of course, you don't have to register. We ask you to actually just come on in with your resume. And if you need some work on that resume, you can always visit our folks at ACS, and they will help you with a resume. Maybe you've never really written one, or you need to figure out how to update it, or what's the best format. They can help you with that. This is a free service that they offer. And then, as you can see on here, we have spouses orientation, we have host nation orientation, dad talk, because our dads are really important. We do a lot of things for mommies, right? We don't want to forget our dads too. We have our spouses sponsorship training program, super important. So we know how important it is to have unit sponsors. We also have spouse sponsorship, and ACS does that. And then of course we've got some more couples communication, and yeah, so all of these are at ACS, and you can also call them in advance to schedule your appointment times with them, because sometimes they get a little busy and they may not have enough spaces. Okay?
Thank you so much, Maria. I think Jen has a few comments.
One correction, 25th for the mini job fair. The 25th.
All right. So the mini job fair will take place on the 25th.
Okay, and just again, this community has a lot of things going on. Just a few more events to highlight. Upcoming, you may have went to the last military appreciation meal this last Tuesday here in the gym. We're going to keep that going. So as you can see, there's one on February 21st, March 11th. Stay tuned to that online, MWR and the Garrison social media channels. We'll make sure to keep that updated so everyone is aware of some good food here and support the community. And again, there's a couple other events that you can see spotlighted here across our different facilities, like the Warrior Zone and the WEC, some interesting tournaments and bands. There's a variety of different ways to get into the community and enjoy and connect with each other. So these are just a sample, again, of the community events that we have. Please make sure you're tuned in to a variety of resources to stay in tune with this stuff. We have MWR's website, we've got the new My Army Post app, we've got the Garrison websites, and of course, pick the social media platform of your choice, and the information is there as well.
Yeah, and you can find us on wiesbaden.armymwr.com. And anybody have any more questions? Yes, sir.
Sorry, Jan, is that open to teens? The job fair?
The question was, is the mini job fair open up to teens?
The answer is yes. Thank you.
Next, we're just going to talk a little bit about the Army birthday.
Good afternoon. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
All right. As you all know, we have the 250th Army birthday coming up. This is a big deal. Usually we just cut a cake, sing happy birthday, and kind of go on our merry way. However, this 250th birthday, we want to celebrate it in the biggest way possible. So with that being said, there's going to be a couple of things that we're going to do throughout the whole week. I have Son First Class Buteau up here because he's the point man for the Army 250th birthday for the Garrison. So he's going to lay out a few events that we're going to do and go from there.
Good afternoon, sir. Sergeant Major. Good afternoon to everyone here. So, as first I mentioned, I'm the lead planner. I've been blessed the last 2 years. I got to bring an airborne drop to the Ball 75 last year, and this year I'm leading the Army 250. So we got 4 key events, major events that will happen towards the end of the week, feeding into the Saturday's Family Fest. So we're going to start off with that. We're going to start off with unit sporting events. That'll start Wednesday or Thursday. So things like 3-on-3 basketball, flag football, soccer, tug of war. All those things will amount to points for the Commander's Cup. So bragging rights, competition, breeding a good warfighting spirit. We want to bring it to the theater and we want to use it to motivate our soldiers. All right, as we go into that, throughout the week as well, AFES, with collaboration with AFES, we're going to go ahead and do little to no cost movie showings of some of your favorite Army movies. Forrest Gump, Glory, as well as Black Hawk Down, of course, things of that nature. So you can come there, bring your kids, see it in a full cinema, get the full feel effect of just not being in your home. Then on that Friday, we're going to go into a post-run. So, you know, that's going to be cadence calling, motivation. We'll have, hopefully we get some flyovers, still working on that with 214th, and as well as some fire truck displays and things of that nature. So just kind of something that's normal in the States, but we want to bring it here to show the importance of being in the Army and that warfighter spirit and the Army family. And then last on Saturday, we'll have that Family Fun Festival. There'll be a very, very small formal portion there. We'll present the Commander's Cup. We'll sing Happy Birthday to the Army. We'll cut the cake. The oldest soldier and the youngest soldier will come and help the SRO cut the cake, and it'll be a great time. It's not the oldest. I found someone older.
With that being said, we'll also have, of course, there'll be static displays, things like that. You're still working on that. Also, for MWR, it will be military appreciation meals. Will be going on throughout that week, if I'm not mistaken. So look forward to that. We're looking forward to that. Please, everybody, come out and support.
And pretty cool. Some of the static displays, maybe an Abrams and Stryker. So that Strikers and Bradley. So that would be good for the community as well. Any questions?
Will the run be held on Long Street as you in that picture?
No, so we're going to form up on Allen Field, and we're going to run right down Allen Field Road there. We're going to go around. The route is only 2.75 miles. I ran it already, Sergeant Major, so nothing too chaotic. I'm always down for a good time, sir. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you both. Okay. On that, we'll move on to closing remarks, and then we'll do a Q&A period. For any questions, please just wait a second, and I'll bring a mic to you so that we can make sure it's heard for our radio and video broadcast as well. With this, we'll turn it over to Sergeant Major. Garrison Commander.
First, I do want to thank again Rickey G, part of our public affairs team, narrator for all of these events. So thanks to Brady and the entire public affairs unit, working together at 56 as well as the Garrison to make sure that we get this message out. For situational awareness, we also will soon begin what we're calling a community steering committee. That's going to be working with representatives from the community, the victim housing concerns, as well as some of our SFRGs, with APs, the commissary, and our FMWR team. This is an opportunity to provide some direct feedback on some of the services that those three entities provide to the community. They're very interested in always knowing how they can improve their services and get some direct feedback. So this will be an opportunity for those representatives to speak on behalf of the community. Before I turn this over, again, I want to thank everybody on the Garrison team. We've been working very hard as we come through the holiday season, but more importantly, the community that we support. We understand there have been a lot of changes that have been going on of late. We will always work to communicate with you as soon as we can, as often as we can. And we look forward to getting your feedback as well. And with the new app coming online is another opportunity for us to get that direct interaction. And with that, Sir Sergeant Major.
Appreciate it, sir. Never miss an opportunity as I look out to thank this community and the Garrison team for what they do. As we just went through the force protection exercise, and I went into your operations center, I watched everybody that pulled together to make that happen. And as I looked at that, it really dawned on me that that's their warfighting positions, right? Like, if someone on that team fails, this garrison fails. So it takes everybody that has a task here to do their job and do it well, right? And then if you ask across the community how many people we service here, does anybody know? About 22,000 people. You know what our services really can manage and sustain? Probably, maybe about 8,000. So this garrison is working double time to try to take care of everyone. And I know that is challenging. But everyone's doing a heck of a job doing it. And the only way we get better is events like this, right? And in these events like this, we have to be very transparent. It helps flatten communication. It also helps what everybody wants is good quality of life. But none of those things happen if we don't share the things that are good and the things that aren't going so well. I have this saying that I've carried for a long time. Closed mouths don't get fed. You got to be able to communicate to someone. And if it stops at one place, go to the next one. You got to knock down the door until you get it solved. There are people here, let me tell you, they're betting 1,000 on saving problems when they know. So you got to understand it. I'm just asking this community that if you find a door that's shut, kick it in and get to the next one until it gets solved, and don't you stop. All right? A couple other things. We run monthly a wealth, right? Wiesbaden Enlisted Leader Forum. And that's where all the leaders, all the command sergeant majors, operations, we come together to really, what we say, carry the mail and support our commanders. And I would tell you, if there's issues inside your formations, things your soldiers need, like sponsorship. I know that's a challenge in some places with families and how we integrate them. I know it's challenging with some of our soldiers how we integrate them as well with sponsorship. Right? Those are big tickets for sergeant majors that we can probably help solve. We close the gap with. Finance. Right? Finance has gotten better. They built the team, they got some more people in, and I know that was a challenge for some of our pay. Those things are showstoppers. Right? So we've gotten better with finance folks as well. All right? So use that wealth to also bring issues to the table. Sergeants, majors can help get after it. You know, I truly believe that commanders are responsible for the command, and the enlisted soldiers are responsible to the command. We're there to help support our commanders, help solve problems, okay? I'm about to do something that's pretty old school, right? And I'm not trying to take the place of anybody's command or anybody's positions here. And there's ways that you share information, but I'm about to give you my email. Old school, right? It's Rickey, R-I-C-K-E-Y, .g.jackson.army.mil. And I would ask that you use that if there's an emergency that you think I can help you solve. But use your chain of commands and the other forums that are out there that are in place to help you message. But as a leader, I'm also responsible for helping. Okay? And then lastly, we are here to be helpful. All right? And I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate what you're doing. It isn't going unseen or unnoticed. I know what you all do on a daily basis, and I appreciate you. That's all I got. Appreciate you.
All right, hey, just two quick things to finish up with. One, the My Army Post app, get it, download it, right? Help us make it better. It is going to be the authoritative way that the Army communicates with itself and its our soldiers and our family members and all the members of our community. So again, it's free. I'm going to download it tonight and start using it. So enable the push notifications and help us make it work for our community. The second thing, and I have had a chance to talk to commanders about this before, but we got a lot of leaders here, right? And we need to make sure that we're communicating with all the pillars of communications, with families, our support agencies, and everybody else. This is a really complicated time for our Army, right? We have Army civilians who are dealing with uncertainty, right? We have speculation in the news about what's the future of the Army in Europe. What's the future of the conflict in Ukraine, right? It's all out there. And we know that all of our people get their news in different ways, right? But there should be consistent communication from chain of command, from family readiness group leaders to our people that we're going to be focused on warfighting and taking care of our people, all of our people, all right? Just keep telling them that, right? And just make sure that they know where to come to if they have specific questions or concerns, because it's a complicated time. So try to eliminate some of that uncertainty that just adds to stress in an already pretty stressful lifestyle that we have. So if we can take some of that off their shoulders by just being present and over communicating, that'll do a lot. That'll get in front of a lot of problems. Yeah, I'd be surprised who his older soldier is. Somebody's going to wheel him or her in here. Okay, Tracy, did we miss anything? Is it senior spouse?
I wanted to add one little thing.
Yeah.
Actually, I was going to see if Candace wanted to talk about something about AWAC.
I'll just do it from here.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Candace Carter with
Hold on.
Wiesbaden.
We can grab the mic. That way everyone in the out station will be able to hear.
I'm the Wiesbaden area representative for Americans Working Around the Globe. We are a nonprofit organization that's been operating in the European footprint for 77 years, even though a lot of people don't know about us. But our mission is to train, strengthen, and connect leaders in military communities, and we do that through personal and professional development opportunities. And so we have our annual professional development conference coming up in Garmisch at the end of April, and you can find out more about that on the AWAC Leadership.
Thank you so much for the information. We'll make sure we link in with that from the Garrison perspective and share that out as we can. Okay, just another housekeeping thing real quick. Just want to shout out and say thank you again for AFN's broadcast. They're going to have to cut out here exactly at 12:30 to resume their normally scheduled broadcast, but we're going to continue with our Q&A period regardless of that. So to kick that off, we had one question that we already got on Facebook. I just want to address that real quick. The question was, when are the next upcoming passport rodeos? We do have some information that we just got this week from our HR department. We'll be putting out information online, but I can say that on March 7th will be the next rodeo for official passports. More information online about all the details and checklists and requirements for that. And on March 14th, they'll have a rodeo for SOFA cards and SOFA considerations. So just wanted to put that out real quick. We received that question online. And at this time, we'll start taking questions from the community here.
Hi, I just had a quick question for the clinic. First of all, I want to thank you for all the work you've done. I think there have been big improvements made in appointment availability. We were here during the Genesis transition, and I was waiting at times 3 weeks to be seen at the clinic for non-urgent, non-emergent things, and I was able to make an appointment for myself within a week a little while ago. So I think the appointment time has definitely improved. My question is regarding dependents being seen at the optometry clinic. So we recently scheduled an appointment there for my daughter, and we found, I was there for another appointment and just walked upstairs to schedule it, and we found that the policy for scheduling that appointment for dependents is that we're only able to schedule within a 5 business day window. And so if there are no available appointments within that 5 business days, we were told to just come back week after week and just sort of hope that somebody had canceled. And so understanding that the priority at the clinic is active duty service members, you're wanting to preserve availability for them, is this the policy for appointments at optometry for dependents that we should expect going forward, just so that we can make decisions about what is the best place to take her? Do we take her to launch school? Do we take her to a local optometrist? So should we expect that 5-day window to continue to be the policy for appointment scheduling going forward for independents?
So thank you, great question. So that just started January 6th. So obviously we're piloting this, we're collecting data to see what the requirements are and what the need is. It is still a space available basis. And so right now we are going to continue with that 5-day rolling time frame, and that's to make sure that we can get our active duty personnel in within time. I will let you know that we went from a position when I first got here where it was roughly 45 days to get an appointment for, and that was just with us seeing active duty service members, 45 days down to under 5 days, and we were able to open it up to dependents on a space available basis, and even our impaneled retirees on a space available basis. So as of right now, yes, that's what we're going to go with, but the hopes is as we gather data, we can adjust and we can work towards something that is better tailored to you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm a parent in the local community, and this is for the command. There are quite a few people in the room that probably have a similar concern, and this is regarding DODIA's implementation of the executive orders with respect to changes in curriculum or whatever's up for review. Not sure if final decisions have been made yet or not. The lack of communication, the lack of transparency around those things is causing a lot of issues in the community. There are certain things that the local command and DODIA have no control over. That's understood. However, there appears to be a lot of interpretation around the EOs that is extremely problematic. DODIA is not responding, refuses to respond, or cannot respond as to how they are arriving to the conclusions that they're arriving to. And as a school community, everyone understands that when you get to a solution, sometimes you don't get credit if you cannot show how you got there. And DODIA is not getting any credit in the community at the moment. It cannot or will not explain how we got somewhere. Certain things are very easy to answer. Why are we not celebrating Black History Month? Well, the Secretary of Defense said we couldn't. Okay, I don't like that, but that is the answer to the question. And so if I have a problem with that, I can take that up with my elected officials. That's not something anyone here can do anything about. Understood. With executive orders with regards to the school, no one can point to a particular EO or to a particular paragraph or a particular wording to justify what it is currently doing. Forgive me for the shakes, but this is extremely concerning to a lot of people. If you cannot explain how you got there, there's a problem. If you will not explain how you got there, it's a problem. These are not internal DODIA processes. This is affecting students, by extension parents, and teachers. So if the invitation to kick the door in was real, we're kicking the door in. Like, somebody needs to do something.
Hey, I'm Chris Dixon. I work for the Garrison. I'm the school liaison officer. I'm the liaison to our DODIA schools, but also to homeschool and off-post schools. About 89% of our Wiesbaden kids attend our base schools. First of all, thank you for your question. I think.
Chris, come on up, please.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, actually, how many of you are parents? Raise your hand. How many of you are here for the reasons you just expressed? Okay, thank you for coming. I have all the answers I can show you right now. No, I wish I did, because it is significant, meaningful. I can hear it in your voice, and I know you care, and I think we all care. I'm a parent too. I have 3 kids in the DODIA schools. First of all, we are working with DODIA district and our local complex administrators. I spoke to them this morning, and we talked to them this week. You're right, it can be frustrating. There are different forms of platforms and processes for finding out certain information. For example, I think you're aware that each school has a school advisor committee, which is made up of half parents and half teachers. They're elected, and it's based on enrollment, so Occam's a little bit smaller, Wiesbaden Elementary School is a bit larger, and they are there to address issues that arise at school. They try to resolve them at the school level with administration or at the school level. Sometimes an issue will arise to the Garrison level. For example, dealing with a traffic zone or something like that. When it has to deal with curriculum and programs and things like that, I know you mentioned internal, but that is under their scope. And so it comes down from HQ, go to HQ, to the New York region, to district, which we're in contact with, to our local schools. And they're waiting just like you. And I know sometimes when we don't have the answers of when is this going to happen, the timeline, who is making these decisions, how is it going to be implemented, what are the lists, etc. The people tend to fill in the gaps and they speculate. The administrators are waiting to do that too. But I've been directed to tell you, all parents, to take your questions, to the schools. I know you were there yesterday. And as they get answers, they will communicate those. But they have been, it's been reiterated that they will be following the EOs and in compliance with that. But that's where you need to direct your questions to the schools.
They're not answering questions.
Exactly.
Okay. I'll take this right now, that they're not, the transparency, questions, the timeliness of answers, the fullness of answers. I will, right after this meeting, contact them and let them know for awareness. If we can do that better, I'm sure we can leverage that and try to get better communication for our community because of it. Yes, ma'am.
Can you give us their contact information as well? Yeah.
It's public. If you Google any school, their contact is right there.
Is it just the admins then?
They're the ones that it gets into the counselors, registrars, and things like that, not teachers. But yes, administrators' contacts are on there, as well as district, and all the Europe leadership contacts are right there. And they can answer this better than any of us can. Was there another question?
Yes.
I might need one of those waters in this.
Either my kids. So, great answer. I appreciate it. I know you're in a difficult spot. So, part of the issue, and this is actually going to, I know that it's not here to represent, if we could maybe get a Dodia town hall. Other places in Europe do it. So I know like USAG Bavaria, they have representatives from like the principals go to their town halls, which is really helpful because then we're all part of one community. So in the future, maybe for that April one, that might be a really good opportunity to invite the leadership from the schools and also work close enough to Dodia leadership and the instructional specialist that's making the decisions on what books are being banned, that type of stuff. Now, when it comes to Garrison, MWR has a library. What are you guys doing for the EO as far as books for the library? And will the community get a say on what books are being pulled? Because I know we've already pulled artwork that kids put on there for like history and things like that, completely understand. But what books are being pulled, and does the community have the right to get those books for them?
Greg
Yeah,
Holzinger with MWR.
I'm looking to the back of the room. Greg, come on up so they can hear with a microphone. So Greg Holzinger is the head of our family and welfare and recreation. Answer that question.
Sorry to put you on the spot, but.
No, great question. So in anticipation, we have actually, a few days ago, we've sent a message forward to our higher headquarters, INCOM, and we're asking, is there anything that we need to do with the libraries? Because we saw the article that was in the newspaper that talked about Wiesbaden and books being pulled and so forth. And we have not got the RFI back yet. The only guidance we've received was the displays and things that we're working through right now is, the naming of events that we've had over the years. It's complicated. No excuses. It's a lot of hard work right now trying to figure it out. But we do have an RFI through our headquarters, and we had hoped to hear something back because there were some concerns, man.
Now, will you have a community representative, whether it's senior leadership, whether it's somebody from the community, where it's not just one person? Because Dodia has ISS, which is instructional specialist, that has a degree and has a background in education. And so, how are you going to implement this? I know there's a librarian that's a master's degree, so they do have, they have expertise, or subject matter experts, as we like to call it. So what are you going to do as far as getting those subject matter experts on the books that are going to be banned, and also will it affect the free online books as well, because I know you'll partner up with some online services that maybe you are not in control of, because that's an outside service that you guys have contracted in, and so we'll be losing access to that as well.
So again, great questions, and I don't have all the answers. The online is not controlled by us. The access is provided to us, so it'll affect everyone that has access to it around DoD. The local process, we're hoping that'll come with the guidance. Internally, we've been talking about what possibly could we do. We would have to work that through our chain of command, of course, making sure that we're doing the process openly, but also communicating well to our community.
No, I really appreciate that. Next up, sorry, behavioral health. You mentioned it. Great resource. I really appreciate you mentioning it and talking about it. We do have LGBTQ plus community here at Wiesbaden. Now, some of that, they received behavioral health through NFLAC, but went into their schools. It seems, and again, rumor mill, all of this good stuff, that those NFLACs are not going to be able to go into the school. With behavioral health, are they still going to be able to receive services through behavioral health that is specified for LGBTQ issues? Sorry.
Good question. So I'll be honest, I don't have a good answer for you right now, and that's something I'll take back and look into, and we'll find a way to get that back out to the community. So maybe I'll catch up with you afterwards, get your details, and we'll try to get that with you.
A resource that could happen is we do have a great community in Wiesbaden, so outside providers, if there was a list of some that might be able to help with that, that would be a really good alternative. I just don't know if I can recover it and do that type of stuff.
Absolutely. Thank you. We'll take that back and look at and see how we can help facilitate. Thank you.
And my final follow-up, I'm sorry. You should never bring me ACS, Community Health Service, ACS Community Service.
Ma'am, we have one more about your other question.
Just to answer your first question about having to be a rep, we've already been working on that.
Perfect.
You and I just took a vote right now, and we'll get them here, okay?
Awesome, I really appreciate that.
And don't feel sorry about your questions, this is what we're here for.
EFMP, so, EFMP does have, where they have certain programs throughout the community for EFMP children. So if the child is autistic, if the child has special needs, things like that. I'm not saying it has happened, but there's that rumor mill, you gotta love it, Facebook, yay. Are those going to be taken away? Because that does receive funding from the government. Will those be taken away, and then what resources will be put in place, or will that be one of those determinations if the child is autistic, if the child has special needs that, sorry, you're not going to qualify to come to Europe at this point because you don't have any needs that can be addressed for you. You know, I know y'all do like the playgroups, y'all do amazing things for these families. So.
There are two different EFMPs. So there's the medical side, and then there's the prevention education. Correct.
And then for the commercial part.
Correct. And unfortunately, I can't answer your question about the funding or what's going to change. I mean, as of now, we've yet to receive any guidance about changing any of our events, activities, or programs. So until that happens, we're going to continue to go as we're going.
Perfect. And then I have one more question. So we're taking books out of the school, we're taking the books out of the library, thrift store, sorry. Now they receive funding, it is Garrison approved, because Garrison has to approve for them to be on post, all of that information, and as a club. Now, are you going to require the thrift store to take out books that do not meet DEI qualifications?
That's
I know it's a slippery slope, but
that's a good question. Maybe something we'll have to look into further. We'll have to look into the relationships between the spouses club and what they fall into when it comes to regulations and policies.
Yeah, that's a great question. Because how we're coordinating with the private organizations right now, if a private organization is using Garrison space, with one of these policies that are going on, we had a conversation about would we restrict any sort of activities, private gatherings unannounced, within like the library. Answer no. If you're doing a parents group activity, that's fine. Different than a sponsored tournament or a sponsored private organization or private organization. We gotta look at that because that's a question we had not come to yet. Thinking about the tourist program. So
sorry.
Yeah, Ashley said I definitely overheard answer on that. So yeah.
And I did lie. Sorry, sir. Sorry, I just did lie. One more question. Private organization. Girl Scouts. they have badges that celebrate girls' STEM, celebrate things like that, that are all about diversity, that are all about now in culture. So if you look at it and kind of taking off of how their deism and pulling certain books or the titles that they're pulling, that would fall under that. So again, private organization, are you going to cancel Girl Scouts as far as being a private organization and say, hey, you can do X, Y, Z badges, but you can't do these over here?
There is federal law that already addresses that. They're exempt from that sort of.
I understand that, but at the same time, there's also federal law that's put in place to address equal opportunities for 504 and for IEPs, but then some of that is being taken away. So I like to think proactively versus reactively. Sorry.
Thanks. First of all, thanks to everybody for having with your passion and your genuine concern for our community and our interests, right? And the respect with which everybody's being addressed, right? And that's, I wouldn't expect anything different from our community in the time that Tracy and I have been here. So that's how we'll navigate these waters, right? Is listening and communicating. Having, well, again, already identified as one of the oldest soldiers here, if not the. Hey, and I've had the chance to do a couple spins through the Pentagon during administration changes, and I'll tell you, it just takes a while for announcements to turn into policy that has implementing guidance to everybody. There is going to be some uncertainty here for a little while. That's going to be difficult for all of us, right? But the way we'll deal it is to be transparent, right? And so your concerns about a lack of transparency, Sergeant Major Jackson and I and the Garrison Leadership take that to heart, right? And we will do everything we can. We already got some DODIA liaison commitment to ensuring increased transparency, and we'll work hard on it, all right? So we can't answer many of those questions, and we're just scratching the surface at how some of these things will be implemented over time. But we're not saying we should be patient. But it's going to take a while for it to get here. So we'll stay as flat and transparent. These venues are going to be really important to that.
Sorry, real quick. You have another town hall in April. Can we have a due out of some answers for that town hall? Or even before April if possible, but I'm all about like, hey, what are your due outs for this meeting? How are we going to follow up? How will we get follow-ups to these questions? And then who would be addressed if those follow-ups aren't answered? And even if it's, hey, we don't know an answer yet, but it's coming, I think as a community we need that, just for that reassurance.
I think we owe something back to this group about when we'll get together and talk about school concerns, and then I think we can probably schedule some of what we're going to do about the library, if anything, right? So I think that addresses that. So we couldn't address all your AFMP questions, right? But I just want to make sure that everybody here knows that our command in general, as soon as he got here, asked the user IG to look into EFMP, right? And then he, based on that quick look by the IG, he gave some instructions to command teams across Europe about some things that we need to be leaning forward on, right? To help with sponsorship and transition of EFMP folks as they arrive in Europe, how they can get access to the services more quickly. Just things like, the German phone number, right? Getting that put in the system so they're getting connected. Because sometimes when soldiers arrive and families arrive, they don't have immediate access to their .mil account, right? And that's something that sometimes maybe at senior levels you can kind of take for granted. So him having that quick look immediately got some best practices out to leadership that need to get out to all of our soldiers and families. So certainly that concern is at the highest levels. I keep pointing that way, like that's the way to the headquarters. I think it is. All right, we had some more questions, huh?
So I have two questions today. The first being, what's going on with the parks at Craftsview? We've got missing swings at the main park, and then sections of the area, other parks that are just blocked off seemingly overnight. And so I want to know what's going on with those, and if it's going to be fixed, removed, what's up.
Hey Raj,
Raj Shear is the head of our Director of Public Works. The question Rob was asking about the status of the parks over at Crestview. Some of the disrepair, but also some of our plans for the future.
So, I'm Raj Shear, DPW Director. We have a lot of group-wide issues with our playground. We're trying to get guidance because they don't meet standards. We just found that out. We did a repair project about a year or so ago. Spent about $1 million. We didn't address all those issues. So if there's some issues, I think that's why it's corded off. We're trying to figure it out right now, and I'll take a note to my housing teams, particularly to look at the issue of Crestview.
Just to amplify a little bit what Rod says, so when you go think about the playgrounds for us from the Garrison perspective, we don't really do with just one playground at a time. It's a larger contract that it comes in. You see Play, Ockham, Crestview, certainly in Heidelberg, those are all running on similar contracts, on the same contract. And so we've got to make sure that we've got everything programmed out for that. So definitely on our agenda, because we realize that becomes a real quality of life issue. And we're looking to work with the contractors also how we can simplify what's at the playgrounds right now. Because a lot of them came in, they're great ambition, lots of different colors, lots of different types of flooring and matting. That's really complicated to replace as it wears out. So what we want to do is make sure we're in compliance with US standards. We also want to make sure it's something that's enduring and that we can maintain a high quality on it.
Thank you. Okay, my next question is, who do I speak to about getting free little public libraries set up on the bases? How do I go about that? I'd like to set them up on all of them if possible.
I don't know that I did.
I heard that they're not in the best repair state, but I would like to. Okay.
Boy Scouts, I know, put up one in front of the elementary school, and then the other one that's at the elementary school right outside the gate. I'm pretty sure it was Boy Scouts as well, and so Boy Scouts, there's usually Eagle Scout projects, and Eagle Scouts move away, but I know the one is managed by his mother, who's still here.
Okay. I would happily set them up on the other bases
So,
if I could find out who I need to speak to about that.
We owe you an answer on that. So let's go back and research that because honestly that's not a policy that I'm personally tracking. So we've got to see what the requirements are for that installation. Don't anything driven into the ground around the garrison, we pick up responsibility for. So let me check on that. So,
thank you.
I just wanted to speak once more to the issue of the implementation of the EOs, particularly at Wiesbaden Elementary School. The harm, and a lot of people are concerned about the harm that could result in the implementation and the restrictions that are being put in place. The harm has already occurred. I know that there were murals on the windows that were done prior to the orders coming down, and they were still ordered to be taken down with no mention to the parents that this was happening. What's happening is our kids are coming home and they're having questions about why are the murals missing? What's going on with the library? Why in my classroom all of a sudden are all the materials for Black History Month coming down, knowing that February, as the president had instituted, is Black History Month, yet we're in a position right now where we are not allowed to celebrate within the schools because of the implementation of the EOs. So I know that there were comments about the fact that there seemed not to be a very clear direction as to how they would be implemented and that that's still being worked out. But the fact is, things have already been put into place that have been damaging the morale of our kids and the morale, by extension, of our military community. And I believe that that can affect the mission here, because so many of us, if we're not allowed to speak about who we are, how we stand, then what is America? So I would also like to share in full disclosure, I was the educational activities chair for the PTO at the Wiesbaden Elementary School. And once I learned that Michelle Obama, a mural of her, had been taken down that first week of implementation, my heart broke. When I learned that Joy Harjo, who is a Native American poet laureate, was taken down from our windows, and our kids always interacted with them, and they were so interested, and they were so excited just to see reflections of themselves and all Americans on those windows, to see them one day just summarily erased. That was happening, and the parents had no idea, except when their children came home and informed their parents and asked questions, and we had no questions for them because we didn't know that things were being implemented. And then all of a sudden we were receiving very opaque directions to go to the play library because we no longer offer certain titles in our school library. So my concern is that given that the harm has already happened because certain things have already been rolled out, and as we continue to try to ask questions to get greater clarity on what is this going to look like for our schools, is my very presence DEI? I don't know. But on principle, I chose to step down from that position because I feel that if you cannot teach the history of our beautiful and fraught country in the schools, what is my position as the educational activities chair? What do I do if there are no more events to host? What do I do? And so my greater question is, seeing as this has already impacted our children and had a harmful effect on them, as people are scrambling to figure out what to do with the books, if books were being pulled, and then receiving no clarity on what's going on, what books are being pulled, why, what are the rationales, because the actions have already gone into effect. So given that lack of clarity and the fact that things have already gone on that have caused worry, fear, anxiety within the school walls, teachers are scared, the administration doesn't know what to do. Where do we go from here? The implementation has already begun. So we can't unring that bell. And that very much concerns me, and it concerns many of us in the room who have come to represent for our children, for our soldiers, for everyone in this room. If someone erases Michelle Obama from the wall and she was the former First Lady for 2 administrations, what does that mean?
Attention in the fitness center. Attention in the
So,
fitness center.
yeah, I know that was more esoteric than anything, but it
in the
just
men's
goes
locker room on
it just goes to the general
235.
point that
Please
we are
come and
trying to
unlock.
get clarity as
You like
parents so that
somebody
we can
else
see
stuff
how
in
to
it.
prepare
So
our
go
kids
to the
for
lock
what is
on the
coming.
lock number
So,
235. Please come to the men's locker room and unlock.
Thank you again for your feedback. This is what this forum is for. We'll definitely take these off, and of course everyone will continue to work on these. Just another housekeeping, we do have some leadership that has other events to go to, so please we'll continue some of these discussions. Some leadership will be needed to just I'm not going anywhere. So. Next question.
Hello. So I'm Christine. I'm a mom and an advocate for special needs and humans all around. And I was thinking this morning as I was getting ready and thinking about what I would want to say, and I was thinking about the things I've learned since I joined this community, and that was mission readiness and four-year situational awareness. And for 40 years, I've had the privilege of being free to love, learn, travel, speak, and eat where I wish. I've taken it for granted that this was the norm, and I have enjoyed my life and my liberties. I want that for my children. I want that for your children. I want that for everybody's children, everywhere. And why should we give them less? Less knowledge, less connections, and less love? The American people look to the military for strength. You guys are our symbol of strength. The reason civilians all over the world thank you for your service is because you defend our values and our civil liberties at the expense of your own. We rely on you to uphold our benefits and cultures, to defend them fiercely as warriors against those who stand in the way of our freedoms, everybody's freedoms. And we respect
all the humans who are brave enough to enlist, all of the humans who are brave enough to enlist, not just the men and the women, every single human that is strong enough to, even knowing that they'll face adversity, the trans people will still come in and they will serve and they will fight for our rights. And it's just so frustrating to be living in this time right now where everything is being ripped away so quickly with no recourse. And I just want to say that the American military is the greatest example of DEI. Even in this room, if you guys look around, we represent so many different cultures and lifestyles. And my heart has been broken for the last 3 weeks, and I couldn't leave without saying something. I think that all of our perspectives and differences are how we learn and how it just strengthens us. It doesn't weaken us. I think that we're at a crossroad where the government is telling our educators and military to cripple our situational awareness. Because if we don't know about these other cultures, if we don't learn about them, if we don't learn our history, we're not going to know what's going on when we go into a foreign territory. Our children, when they travel with us to foreign territories, they're not going to understand. They're going to be confused and afraid because they're not going to know. And to know and experience different heritages and cultures throughout our diverse community has always been an asset to the military. It has added preparedness when going into unknown territories. We are looking to the leadership at this post to defend our right to education and community. It is devastating to think that the people serving this community are having their children locked out of learning about their own history and how society became to be as it is today. You're telling me that these soldiers can't have their own children learn about their own history, their own heritage? It's ridiculous. It's going to alienate the military, and they're not going to want to serve. You're using our children as test subjects to take away their education. It is so sad. It's a very simple word. It is heartbreaking. It is so sad. And to have to say this in Wiesbaden, where this base was occupied to rebuild Germany after World War II, for the exact things that are starting with banning books and banning and trying to erase history and trying to alienate cultures. It's mind-boggling, and I'm sorry that I'm so emotional and shaky. I'm really glad you didn't make me stand. I would have felt. I just want to say we need the military to defend us, Americans, all Americans, and I know that that starts with our children. They're our future citizens. So I just really want people to think about that. Every single person around here is from somewhere else, and you can't erase their history, and it's wrong to even try to.
Okay, we still have quite a few questions. We've been started. We had a few on this side, and we did a few in the back, in the last row there.
Okay.
Hello? Okay. I have a relatively easy question. I was on the Garrison website last night, and the equal opportunity includes complaints about the alleged unlawful discrimination on the basis of race, color, sex, to include gender identity, national origin, religion, or sexual orientation, and harassment, which includes hazing, bullying, and other discriminatory harassment. Do you expect changes to this policy? What are those changes you're expecting, and how do you plan to disseminate changes if they do happen?
Hi, let me, we got Sergeant Control here, who's actually our EO representative, so from the Garrison.
Thank you for your question. So, in regards to policy going forward, I'm not going to speak because we're still in the fruition stage of what's going on. However, the gender identity portion will be removed from all policy letters across Army-wide, and we will go back to, addressing concerns based on discrimination of sex with pregnancy, and that's how we'll go forward.
So I'm a spouse.
Yes.
I identify as a cis woman, but I have short hair and I like to wear button downs. If I get harassed because of my gender expression, where do I go? As a spouse, but a member of this Garrison community, where do I go?
So the Military Equal Opportunity Program protects soldiers. The equal employment opportunity is for GS employees and local nationals. So
I'm not talking about employment. I'm talking about if I walk into the PX and I experience harassment, whether it's by a soldier, is there recourse? Can I go anywhere?
So in that situation, you can always go directly to DES and impute and report your harassment. As well, if you have any questions, you can come by any of our offices and we'll be happy to help point you in the right direction. There's also the IG office, as well as you can take it to your individual commands and then they can run it up and up and up.
Okay, cool. Thank you for your answer.
Next question? Go ahead.
Okay. Just to backtrack a little bit, as you said, these are times of uncertainty, and you can see that the harm has already been done. Everyone is here. Is very passionate. I'm very proud of everybody for coming out here. Thank you. I do want to get a little bit more transparency from NODIA and MWR as to what the guidance was given, because actions were taken. So what is that middle line where we stand today from the guidance you had to where you decided to remove certain aspects of the community?
Well, again, we're still in the more information from NODIA. We'll be engaging them shortly. From the Garrison standpoint, we're still waiting for the implementation. So there was some initial guidance that came out. It was related to some of how we communicate with the public right now. But at this time, we are still trying to figure out what the sort of process is going to be and how it's going to be implemented at our level. There were some changes that came about. Some of those were driven internally, and some were directed. But those were very minimal at the time. At the time, we took some websites offline and some media, but that was mostly to scrub specifically for certain terms and to make sure we were in compliance with the executive order. But at the time, there was no implementing guidance, so very little change was made.
I do want more specifics on the MWR, because you did mention that displays had to be taken down. Which displays were specified in the guidance that we received?
So first off, taken down, we didn't put any up. The guidance that we received was that we would, when we have displays currently in our libraries, that it would be specifically to the military, to the warfighter, and that was the only guidance that we had received so far. We are, again, trying to get more guidance that we can communicate that, and that we're within what we're supposed to be doing. That's the other uncertainty, obviously, that we're trying to work through to make sure that we're following the guidance that is being released, but hard to understand right now, I think, for all of us.
One last comment. Is there a way that across the board where we can put that guidance out for transparency purposes so the community to see for themselves, instead of it only being internal? Because I think that's where a lot of everything is muddled, is it internal and actually communicating to the community?
The answer is yes. I don't know how yet, but Sergeant Major Jackson and I and the command team up here, we're going to make sure that as we're able to be fully transparent with our community here, we will be. All right, and I know that we'll come up with a way to do it, whether it's a site you can go to or whether it's more frequent opportunities like this to share information. We'll figure it out. It's important to us because it's important.
Thank you.
Next question.
I actually, I have a couple of questions. I'm going to try and separate them as best as I can. My name is Jane. I am the PTO president for Wiesbaden Elementary School. The murals that were taken down were mine. I spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of free volunteer hours to put these up. They're up for all the children. They were put up outside of the Heritage Months, so they were up for the kids to enjoy all year long, so they could learn and so they could ask the questions that they need to educate themselves, because maybe they don't have that opportunity anywhere else. They learn it from these paintings. I was told last Monday that there was potential that these need to come down. They were waiting on further guidance. I got a phone call on Thursday while I was popping popcorn for 700 children that these would have to come down. It took me 10 minutes to walk from my room to the front office to ask administration, was there something I could do to alter these? If I removed the specific Heritage Month comments, could they stay up? Could the facts about the artwork and the artists and the legacy be left up? And by the time I got to the front office, they were gone. There was no discussion, there was no room for interpretation, there was nothing. There was a child crying in the hallway when I left, and I took it personally. The other artwork that I have in the hallway may not be heritage related, but it is personal, and it is there for impact. There's paintings up of the screen, a painting by Basquiat, there's a painting by Keith Harington, by Da Vinci, there's Bluey on the wall. They are there for the children. They're there for them to ask questions and to learn. Everything was white. There was no room for interpretation, and it was gone. And I understand that this came from higher up. It was not from administration, but the decision was still made, and there was no room left for discussion. And it feels incredibly isolating. It does not, it makes it hard for me to figure out how to continue to support the school. Because in the same week, to go along with these private work questions that we had earlier, I got 2 separate emails. One that said that they recommended that I take down a post about Black History Month from a personal, volunteer-run Facebook page. And the second one that said this again, and then also, you know, maybe if you don't take it down, you could have a problem with Garrison. I do not like the tone of that email, so I am speaking again to just put forth that there is a lot of concern with private orgs that support the school. Is Garrison going to pull our status because they don't agree with the way that we align when we support the school? Because in our guidelines, our constitution and bylaws, we only exist to support the students and the staff at the school. And if I cannot support the students, how am I supposed to run a private org? Fashion was canceled. The school did not cancel that. We canceled that. Because if we cannot support the heritage and the celebrations of all of the children in the school, I cannot, in good conscience, with whatever moral, I cannot do it. I understand that that was not the specific thing that was on the EO or the directive, and that host nation classes and language classes are allowed to continue, but this is a celebration, an all-day long celebration. The kids are pulled from specials. It is different, it is not the same. And in good conscience, we as a PTO decided at that point that we were pulling our funding. It was not right. That did not come from the school. I know that we're waiting for clarification to come down further and further, and it's a waiting game. The school does not have answers. The district does not have answers. I was on a personal phone call with someone this morning from district. No one has an answer. But I guess my whole point is to just press upon, we can't wait. We need answers. We need them as soon as, even if they're incomplete and it's just bit by bit. We cannot sit and wait. Our kids can't wait.
My name is Justine. I will try and be as laconic as possible. But I just want to point out that I keep hearing, oh, we're waiting on policy, but you're not waiting on policy because actions are actually being taken, which is entirely inappropriate. And to Jackson, I appreciate your quote, and I will return one for you. Ultimately, cynicism is the great mask of the disappointed and the betrayed heart. Please, do not turn us into cynics.
Okay. Another question in the back? So I'm aware that DODIA is largely considered to be a very good education when you get it. It's high quality education. I just want to ask a question, and I know that there's not a lot of answers right now from DODIA. Maybe we could just put this on top of the stack that's already built up. What's the brass tacks answer about changing natural science, human science, behavioral science in AP, and how that affects how those courses are going to be assessed as these students go forward? My concern there is that if we extract individual elements from these courses, they will no longer meet the standard. The students that will go through those courses will go on to find that they have largely wasted their time and will not get credit.
That came up at its second meeting last night. They're on that. We're talking about consequence for that. Can I get your email, and your email will follow up on these specific issues so we get the exact. If I say something now, it might be a little bit off.
Can you put it out widely for everybody rather than getting information?
Right. I didn't necessarily mean individually, just you all and no one else would hear, but just to me, you have some specific things like that. But I work with the PTOs and the SACs and we'll give it to them too. Yes.
Thank you again for the feedback. Any questions?
We just we heard a rumor that last Friday a compliance team came in from Garrison to check the school. This was something we heard from teachers and subs. Can you confirm or deny that that happened?
So, that did not happen, and that's why I'm not trying to minimize the impact. You said impact has already happened. Let's make sure that didn't get hyperbole or something. Let's make sure we find out the real things and not the so that specific situation. What happened was MPs were there, but for a different reason. And it looked like they were for that reason. The principal was called out from the spelling bee for something else. The school told them they go there for different various reasons, but it was not that reason, and that was clarified by administrators and DES. That was confirmed by DES and by the administrator that is not what happened.
And well, let's hope a lot of people see this and now also get the full story, because that is not what's going on right now.
And that's why transparent communication would help alleviate some of those.
So I just want to reiterate the request that DODIA specify where from the EOs they are operating from, or if not the EOs, if they've received guidance directly from the Department of Defense on how to implement certain things, that they're actually able to point to those things. I think some of the responses can be seen by some people as emotional, and so there might be a tendency to disregard the emotional response. I think everyone wants facts. What wording in the EOs, what wording and whatever guidance you receive are you going by to come to these decisions? A public answer so far is we'll go read the EOs. It's an unacceptable answer. I've read the EOs. I know what the EOs say. There is nothing in the EO related to schools that says pull books, change curriculum, take down any evidence of contributions of anyone of color. Nothing in the school one, nothing in the DEI one that suggests any of that. And yet, that is what happens. The school EO doesn't direct any other action other than, within 90 days, submit a plan of how you plan to not teach these things. And I would bet money that DODIA does not teach those things. So other than submitting a plan that says NA, there was nothing in there that directed them to change anything right now, at all. DEI, EO is meant really for hiring, promotion, boards, that kind of stuff. And people are conflating, the school has conflated, DODIA has conflated DEI with anything and everything related to diversity. That is not what DEI is. But yet that is the path they've taken, which has led to a lot of this.
So I just want to bring it back to the facts, the EOs, the black and white wording. They need to justify how they got where they got. And if they can't, they need to change it. For whatever agencies are in the room that have not implemented action because they didn't have clear guidance, that is the appropriate response. It is not for individuals in different agencies to go, well, this is how I'm reading it, so let's do this. That is not the appropriate response. DODEA here, DODEA Pacific, DODEA wherever should all be going by the same guidance. There should not be local people. I saw a response recently that said, oh, the principal and the librarian between themselves decided which books. That is not how you implement change, because that means this school and that school are all doing it differently. So I really don't want people to disregard some of the commentary because it's not, their go-to has been, oh, the EOs, the EOs, the EOs. Okay, prove it. They have. So I just want to bring it up.
Just two things on that. I don't think there's anyone up here that is not listening and isn't caring about this, because we're hearing loud and clear. Number one, DODEA ears need to hear this, what you're saying, so we will work on that. But secondly, there's the overall issue of this that's huge, and then I think what you're talking about is drilling down to the specifics. What exactly is being listed and what's not? When is this happening? To what extent? And I think you expressed it very well. Were you at the meeting last night? So I think you had a nice list, and I wrote it down. You wanted to know, okay, where is this coming from? Probably so you can talk to them. Where is this coming down from? What specifically are they saying is and isn't okay? When are they saying do this? You know, all those details that you listed. I think that's what you really want to find out, and we can find that because those are finite, those are tangible, those are something we can find out. And so we will do our best to collect that and gather that. But again, you know, this is good that we're talking, but it will be DODEA that handles that drives that steering wheel.
Yeah, and I just wanted to reiterate what Rafferty said, or Chris is talking about. You know, as information becomes available, we put it out as fast and as flat as we can when we get it. Earlier we were talking about things coming down from the Garrison, and I misspoke even when I said thank you for down. What we actually had to do was a halt for a while with putting that information. Which in an environment like this, where we have a lot of these interactions, we're very close. You know, everybody, you know, this is not a large Garrison. 18 installations, but the ones we actually occupy, most of us are neighbors here. And we try to work, or have been working, to be very accessible. So we realize even though those processes can be challenging. But as we are able to, we will share what we've got, and we will continue to act as a way to help facilitate the communication across the Garrison, the different sections, with DODEA, with the broader community outside the gate as well. So, we'll.
I have one final thing, if that's okay. You guys hear the basketball games out here? Yeah. We have Euros. A great way to celebrate our community and the diversity in our community. Go support these boys and girls that are out there playing our hearts out. The cheerleaders are going to be out there, I believe, on Friday. Great date night for your wife or your spouse or your husband, whoever. We can make a positive impact on the community by all of us and our diversity, showing up and cheering on these kids and really supporting them, because I think that's what these kids need. We've got the Stuttgart kids here, and I don't know if you've seen any of the news about them. They have done a great job. We've got cheer them all on, and our boys basketball team is probably going to be in the championship on Saturday, knock on wood. So cheer them on, cheer on their community. That's where we can start locally. It does help. I mean, heck, 50, 60 years ago, you wouldn't have all the different diversity out there playing. And in order to keep it that way, we've got to keep cheering them on and showing them that we support them and that's what we support.
Okay. Thank you again for all the questions, feedback, and commentary. We do take this seriously. This is what we're here for. We're here to support you and our community. Any last comments from the group?
All right. I do want to say thank you to everybody. You can never tell which way a conversation is going to go, so that's when you know you're really actually having a conversation in the community. I think that's very important, and we want to be able to support that and help provide forums like this so that we can continue to have those conversations. And the conversation doesn't end with the meeting. We will have opportunities to still receive some of your questions. Obviously, we talked a lot about JDA policy. That's something we'll relay. But then there are other things that have come up during the town hall. And again, taking it back, these are things that affect your day-to-day life as well. The traffic patterns on here, the availability of what we have in the commissaries and the PXs. Send us your messages on that, and we will continue to work to answer them, or at least create settings like this where we can have some good exchanges.
All right, thank you so much again. This concludes this town hall.